Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on your Thursday morning, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. I am live out in Greenville, South Carolina, getting set for the SEC tournament. Got underway yesterday. Vandy starts its run tomorrow. TD and Parker back in Nashville. Appreciate Connor holding it down for us yesterday, but back and ready to roll here on a TD Thursday. TD, what's going on?
What's up? What's up, man? It's a slow morning, but we are here and things are great. The weather's nice. What's the weather like down there, man?
It's beautiful. I made a run to grab coffee when I woke up this morning, and it is perfect out here. So I'm loving it.
That's beautiful, man. Congratulations to the Commodores, man. SEC Women's Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Coach of the Year. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, how about it? Sweeping the awards earlier this week, and now a chance to go win a championship this weekend. Vandy starts its run. They'll play the winner of Ole Miss and Auburn tomorrow evening. It's a 5 o'clock tip tomorrow, and then you keep winning, you keep playing. A chance against maybe Texas on Saturday, and then possibly South Carolina Sunday in the SEC championship. So should be a fun weekend. I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to have you back, TD. You were up there at the Combine last week, and we got to check in with you for a little bit amidst your busy schedule up in Indianapolis. But any key takeaways from your trip up there on some of the position groups maybe, or a couple players that could have stood out to you that could be in the mix for the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could talk about when you look at the key takeaways. I think the biggest one for me is the genuine interest in Jeremiah Love the Titans have. I think that's huge. I thought it was interesting. Mike Borgonzi, he has said, I'm not worried about the short arms. And he said it didn't show up when he was talking about Bain. So you got that. As far as the performance, I mean, the Styles brothers, they took the show. I really loved Jacoby Lane, the USC receiver. He had a great workout. He didn't have any crazy times or anything like that, but that dude caught the ball well. He moved really well. So you got that. Malik Muhammad looked good in the receiver, or excuse me, the cornerback drills. He and D'Angelo Pond, on the field, they looked really good. So those are a few takeaways. You know what? Actually, here's another takeaway. Arvell Reese, I really wanted to see him in person, like his build. And it's funny. So they came out, right? And I'm like, who is this diesel dude with number 20 on, man? Because I didn't recognize him initially. And then they turned around and it said Reese. I was like, oh, okay. So finally got to see, if you remember, we were talking about his build, right? And I wanted to see how it compared to Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. is more husky, but right. I mean, Reese could hold his own. I'll say that. And David Bailey worked out really well also. I thought he did a great job.
We can start on the Jeremiah Love front, because I think that's been the most popular story around the Titans fan base for the past week. Is a guy who we discussed for months, TD. We said at 4, it's too high to take Jeremiah Love. But as things have played out, and maybe some of the other prospects have shown some of the warts that they might have, Jeremiah Love has rocketed up draft boards. It does seem like the Titans have genuine interest in possibly taking Jeremiah Love at number 4. And guess what? He's in the building right now over at the new, is it the Vanderbilt Health Football Facility out there in Nashville? So Jeremiah Love is currently in the building as one of the 30 visits, maybe the first one for the Titans. I think that shows you that the Titans might seriously be considering taking him at number 4.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It shows you that. So I think when you look at everything with him, here's the thing. He's a complete player. It makes sense. I didn't think that they would consider it, but it does. I mean, it makes sense. He's a guy. Do you want guys that score touchdowns? Yes. Do you want guys that could score anytime they touch the ball, no matter where they are? Yes. Do you want guys that could play all 3 downs on offense? Yes. Well, look, all of that checks out.
Yeah, and it's tough for me to wrap my head around it, and Parker can attest. I've kind of been battling over this the last couple of days because, in general, my philosophy is you don't take a running back that high. I just think that's not the right way to build a championship caliber roster. But you can't look at it in just the simplest terms. Every draft class is so different, and it depends on what else is there. the edge players, who knows who's going to be left when you're on the clock at number 4. It looks like the Jets are primed to take either Arvell Reese or David Bailey. The Cardinals are kind of an enigma right now. Like, they could go edge rusher, they could go tackle, they could go Jeremiah Love. But you look at this draft class and you say the best prospects don't play at premium positions, right? Like Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles. They may be the best prospects, the most surefire Pro Bowl level players, but they don't play the premium positions. When you look at the edge rushers and the receivers and even the tackles, I think there are red flags that you look at and say, maybe you don't want to take those players as high anyway. So it becomes a question of, do you take the more surefire, less risky pick at a less premium position, or go a little bit riskier, but do it at an edge or a tackle or wide receiver?
Yeah, and that's the thing where you're looking at the closer to a short thing. And Jeremiah Love is probably the closest to that. And you're right. Typically, you don't take a running back that high. But every once in a while, you have outliers. And Jeremiah Love has the potential to be the 4th running back taken number 4 overall since 2008. The last back taken top 5 was Saquon Barkley in 2018. And Barkley is a difference maker. He made a difference for the Giants. They didn't win a championship, but they had a playoff run. Obviously, the Giants made a mistake and let him go, especially to the division rival Eagles, and the Eagles won a championship. Running backs matter. They're important. And I think they matter a little bit more when you have a difference maker, a Bijan Robinson, a Saquon Barkley, right? A Jahmyr Gibbs, who multiple people have compared Jeremiah Love to. Or, you look at a James Cook III, who Jordan Reed compared Jeremiah Love to. He's a difference maker as well. So you have Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. These are guys that you could kind of revolve an offense around. And to me, when I look at this, is bigger than that, because Jeremiah Love. I do that. I'm good for one show. Jordan Love. Jeremiah Love is a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So he is able to catch a short pass and give you all of those free yards, and that's a huge benefit to Cam Ward.
Yeah, and something that you've said before, and a lot of people are making the point of, is Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll have both seen the advantages of having an elite running back, right? Like the year the Giants went to the playoffs, Saquon Barkley was a big part of that. You could look back at the Week 1 game in Nashville against the Titans. Saquon Barkley took over that second half in Nashville, and then Robert Saleh specifically mentioned Christian McCaffrey. That he was in the building with Christian McCaffrey and saw the difference that a great running back can have. I don't think it would be a bad pick if Jeremiah Love is the selection at number 4. I just think this is such a strange draft class where the blue chip prospects aren't necessarily at the positions that you typically take guys at number 4 or in the top 5 in general. David Bailey, I think there are questions with the mobility. Right, the bend around the edge. Arvell Reese, I think there's questions of, is he going to be able to adjust to playing on the outside full time and being a pass rusher? And then Ruben Bain, of course, the short arms. It seemed pretty cut and dry before the combine that the Titans were going to take one of those 3 guys. Now it could be anything. Like nothing would shock me at this point for the Titans at number 4, and that's probably where Mike Borgonzi wants it. He wants everybody to be on their toes a little bit and not know what he's going to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You want that, because here's what happens. Now teams, they can't rule out, hey, they're not going to take a running back, so we don't have to worry about trading up to 4. We could trade up to 5. You know what I mean? Or we could. They're not going to worry about taking Sonny Styles. So all we got to do is make sure we leapfrog the Giants, who will probably say,
right.
You know what I mean? It puts everything at play. And I mean, there are legit ties to these non-premium quotation mark positions, right? Because we know Fred Warner has done a great job in Robert Saleh's defenses, and you get those kind of vibes when you look at Sonny Styles, right? And you know, Caleb Downs is an outstanding safety, and you can't take that off the board. It's less likely, but to me, it still comes down to the 3 pass rushers and Jordan Love, Or there we go.
There you go,
And
number
Love.
two.
I'm gonna just say Love. That's to me what it comes down to. The pass rushers and Love. And I think the Titans are in a beautiful situation because they're guaranteed to have one of their top 4 guys fall to them, right? Because we know Mendoza's going number 1. They're going to have their pick, right, of at least 1 or 2 of those 4 top guys that they have.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your chance to talk to TD is coming up at 10 a.m., so make sure you get your questions in for Turron. Anything that you want to know, we're going to get into the draft. We're going to get into free agency and much more about the Titans throughout the show. So any questions you have for TD, get those in on our phone and text line, 615-737-1025. We will continue the conversation around Jeremiah Love coming up next. Is this a smokescreen? Could the Titans just be looking for someone to trade up like TD was alluding to there? 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media are teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? Nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you could win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this TD Thursday. TD, the conversation around Jeremiah Love, I think, is dominating the Titans fan base right now because it's attractive to take a playmaker at number 4, right? Like, I understand why people are getting hot and heavy for Jeremiah Love. The idea of having Cam Ward and Jeremiah Love in the same backfield is a lot of fun. But there is the question of the value of taking a running back at number 4 when you have so many needs at premium positions. You don't have, Jermaine Johnson helps you on the edge, but you haven't invested a first-round pick in an edge rusher in over 15 years. You don't really have a game changer at wide receiver. You could need a tackle down the road, not saying that you would take one this year at 4, but that's the premium positions that you typically take in the top 5. But in this year's draft, it might make sense. And as we've seen, I mentioned in the first segment, and somebody texted in asking, was Jeremiah Love's visit confirmed to be Titans related? He posted on his Instagram story this morning a picture inside the Titans building. So I think at the very least, the Titans are trying to make it known that they have interest in Jeremiah Love. Whether that's real or whether that's a smokescreen, we don't know at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's in the building. There's interest. I think when you look at – and it makes sense when you talk about Robert Saleh and what he's seen. And you also have to look at some of the things that Saleh has said in the past, and he talked about a strong running game being one of the best friends for a young quarterback. And obviously, if you use the number 4 overall pick on a running back, you believe that he will make your running game strong. So, to me, I don't think it's a smokescreen. I think it makes sense, and I think they're covering their bases and making sure that they talk to this young man because, there are some reports. Now, I haven't gotten it directly that he's their top guy on the board. I know he's among their top 4, and I know that they're in a poised to be able to take at least one of their top 4 players. That's something that was told directly to me. So I believe that Love is among those, and that's why he's in the building. And I don't think it's a smokescreen at all. I think it's genuine interest.
Yeah, Matthew Berry was the one last week who said that he heard the rumor that Jeremiah Love is the number 1 guy on the Titans board. Matthew Berry, very well respected in the industry, but he is a fantasy football writer. So, maybe take it with a grain of salt, but that is the rumor that was flying around last week. Lots of people are talking about trying to trade back. And I do think the Titans might have some options, right? Like the Chiefs now have 2 first-round picks, and they could be looking for a playmaker. And the Cowboys is the one that I always want to bring up. I mean, they've got 2 top 20 picks. Jerry Jones, if he falls in love with somebody, maybe wants to come up and grab him. So the Titans may have options to trade back if they want to, but it does seem like this might be genuine interest for the Titans and Jeremiah Love. And I want to get to this on the YouTube chat. Top Tier says, you take game-changing players, you don't draft for need at number 4 unless they are a transformative player. And I want to make the point when I talk about don't draft a running back at 5, typically, it's not about drafting for need. It's about drafting for value. And typically, you find more value taking the, again, quote unquote, premium positions because edge rushers, the top edge rushers, are usually found at the very top of the draft. And that's why I lean that way of the Titans need to find somebody who can get after the passer from the edge that they really haven't had in a long time. And that's where you find those guys when you're picking in the top 5. However, I don't think you reach if there's not a guy that you absolutely love at that spot for an edge rusher just because he's an edge rusher. I think you have to come away with a star when you're picking in the top 5. And if the Titans are convinced Jeremiah Love is going to be a star, then I can get behind that pick.
Look, I'll say this. I think of all the top prospects, he has the best path to be a star. He has the best chance to be a star. I think he's most likely to be a star. So if you're going from that perspective, yeah, I think Love should absolutely be the pick. But to me, it's just it comes down to who's going to impact games the most, and I know there's this big thing. Oh, well, only two teams that have selected a running back in the first went to a Super Bowl. Well, look, the Philadelphia Eagles, no Philadelphia Eagles team won a Super Bowl before 2017. Should they have not played that season? Or like, you know what I mean? So it's just, I don't get too caught up in all those like outliers and all that type of stuff. I just, you look at what's in front of you, and if it makes sense, you do it. And to me, it makes sense taking Jeremiah Love. It makes sense taking David Bailey. It makes sense taking Reuben Bain Jr. It makes sense taking Arvell Reese. So guess what? Any of those four guys, I think, would be a legitimate pick.
We'll talk about the edge rushers in a second as well. But Jeremiah Love has been the hot name around here, and again, I'm getting behind it. It's not my favorite strategy to build a roster, but I also understand it. If that's the guy that you think is going to be the biggest impact on your team, then go do it. And I saw somebody put out there yesterday. They've already got a slogan for the Titans backfield: "All is fair in Love and Ward."
That's funny. All is fair in Love and Ward.
I see, and I would be thrilled to turn on the TV in September and get to watch Cam Ward and Jeremiah Love together. I think it would be a whole lot of fun. So I don't want everybody out there to be like, man, he hates running backs. He hates Jeremiah Love. It's hard for me to look at the way teams have taken running backs early, and it really hasn't led to a whole lot of success. And I know what you're saying is every situation is different, but you look back and yeah, maybe if the Giants re-sign Saquon Barkley, things go differently. But Saquon Barkley, they didn't really win anything. They won one playoff game with Saquon Barkley. Leonard Fournette with the Jaguars. He was part of that team that went to the AFC Championship, but they didn't really win anything with Leonard Fournette. Ezekiel Elliott, same thing with the Cowboys. So far, Bijan Robinson, really good player, but are the Falcons winning football games? Like, I just struggle to look at the way winning teams build their rosters, and most of them aren't spending top 5 picks on running backs. But I also can understand that this draft feels different than a lot of drafts. Like the wide receivers, I couldn't get behind taking any of those guys at 4 with some of the red flags that you see. The edge rushers, I think 2 of them might be gone by the time you're on the clock. So you might be limited with your options there. So I get it. You might have to look at Downs or Love or Styles and say, hey, it may not be an edge rusher. It may not be a wide receiver. It may not be a star cornerback. But this guy is going to help our team, and he's going to add a pillar to our roster that we currently don't have.
Oh, you think the Cardinals? You think the Cardinals could take an edge at 3?
The Cardinals, I have no idea what they're going to do.
They very well could, to match him with Josh Sweat. I could see that.
I don't know at all what the Cardinals are going to do, which is that throws a wrench in all this. I think you kind of expect the Jets are going to take Bailey or Reese at number 2. The Cardinals could go edge. They could go tackle. They could go with one of those 3 guys. They could go Love, Downs, or Styles. Like I have no idea what the Cardinals are going to do, which is something that we're just going to have to wait until draft night to find out. And it's going to obviously have a big impact on what the Titans' plans are.
Yeah, here's the thing. and actually, I just came across a really good point on my my timeline on X. So somebody had said in response, I posted Jeremiah Love over there at the facility, and somebody said only 2 running backs selected in the top 5 have gone on to win a Super Bowl for their team. There are so many bigger holes than RB that need to be filled first. And someone responded, and it's an excellent response. Only 5 quarterbacks selected number 1 have won a Super Bowl for the team that drafted them. Does that mean we, talking about the Titans, shouldn't have drafted Cam? That's a good point. It's a good point. I'm just saying you can't get too caught up in historical things because things change, right? And it's different. It's different in different situations. And I think that if they were to take Love, I don't think it would be a bad pick at all. Obviously, it's going to depend on what happens in front of them. If Bain and Reese happen to go, then you got Bailey versus Love, and I think it's also another one of those situations where you do have to look at the board horizontally, as we had mentioned. When you're going against the receivers, right? But going against this particular running back, it's an intriguing conversation, and it's one that I wouldn't want to have to make that decision, because that would be very, very tough. Because it's hard to look at this guy and see what he does. Look, Jake, sometimes when I watch him, and I was talking to somebody about this last night, and I'm not saying again that this guy is as great as this player that I'm thinking of. But there are a couple plays, like the one where he ran into the guy, he spun off, and then he managed to find daylight and just outran everybody. Or there are a couple of, you look when he bounces it outside and he hits the sideline and just accelerates past everybody. It reminds me of Reggie Bush. And again, I'm not saying he's as good. Jeremiah Love is as good as Reggie Bush, but it gives me flashes of that. I'm like, oh, I've seen that before. And the time that I saw it was Reggie Bush.
The spin move in the Pitt game was ridiculous. I remember
Yeah,
watching that
the Pitt
game live.
Yeah.
Because for Vanderbilt, you were rooting against Notre Dame, right? Like that was one of the teams that Vandy was fighting with. So I was watching that game and kind of rooting against Notre Dame, and Jeremiah Love made that spin move and outraced everybody to the goal line. I was like, all right, well, never mind. This game's over. And he was ridiculous in that game. So I agree with you. I don't think it would be a bad pick at number 4. I struggle with this team has not invested enough in the pass rush, and you hope that you're not picking in the top 5 again, right? And so if not now, when is my question. You hope that there's a good player for you on the edge at number 35, but guess what? Then you got to push wide receiver back too. So taking a running back at number 4, yes, if he is a superstar and ends up being a gold jacket Hall of Famer, no one's going to question where he was drafted. But in terms of building the entire roster, by taking a running back at number 4, you now have to find other resources that you can use to fill those other premium positions, edge, wide receiver. You got no cornerbacks right now. So it's going to be interesting.
Does this team have a legit home run hitter that can score anytime?
No, and I
when
understand
was
that.
the last time? When was the last time this team drafted a playmaker in the first round? See, that's the thing. A lot of the things we say about these other positions, we could say about Jeremiah Love. And to me, this is all that I want people to do. And once I did it, I was able to actually say, you know what, this does make a lot of sense. Get out of it from the paradigm of looking at him as a running back. Just look at him as a playmaker. And if you do that, then you could kind of take that. But another thing is, why does a running back have to be a Hall of Famer if he's taking that 4? All a pass rusher has to do is be a double-digit sack guy.
But when you're taking a running back at 4, you're basically saying this guy is a generational talent. That's what you have to be based on what we've seen in the past, because good running backs are easier to find, right? Like you can find a good running back easier than you can find a good pass rusher.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that.
But I understand the point you're making is if you're finding an elite running back, a top of the line guy, then I get it. And I wouldn't be mad if they took Jeremiah Love at 4. It's just taking me a little bit to wrap my head around the idea of having a top 5 pick and spending it on a running back. But I get what you're saying. Don't frame it as a running back. Frame it as a playmaker and a guy who's going to help out Cam Ward. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you want to get your questions in for TD, you can do that on our phone and text line, 615-737-1025. We will get to those at the top of the hour. The other big question that came out of the combine was about Ruben Bain, and we will talk about Ruben Bain coming up next. Is he still a viable option for the Titans at number 4? We'll get TD's thoughts. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on your Thursday morning. It is a TD Thursday with us for the full show. And again, Talk to TD coming up at the top of the hour. So make sure you get your questions in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. I love having my gear working. I can actually see TD now. So I see TD vibing back there in the studio.
Listen, man, I was 8 years old when that song came out, man. Lottie Dottie, we like to party. We don't cause trouble and don't bother nobody. That was my joint, man. Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh. Yeah, man. Yeah. I needed that. And even last segment woke me up too. Not that I'm asleep, but it just like I say last segment gave me some energy. You know
hey,
what
Jake,
I mean?
Bobby Brown got TD going.
Yeah, that Bobby Brown, man, my prerogative. By the way, new edition, they're going to be here at Bridgestone on March 20th, man. I'm going to be in my bag, man. I can't wait.
Love it. Yeah, TD is obviously in the right city because so many concerts, so many artists coming to town. He can indulge in all of them. So well done from Parker on his first two bumps coming back to start the show. TD, we've talked about Jeremiah Love a lot, and that is the new popular name for the Titans at number 4. The old popular name, of course, was Ruben Bain. That was who I think most Titans fans were in on before the combine. I am a little wary. I've said it all week, TD. I am wary about the arm length. I know that Robert Saleh and Mike Borgonzi said that the tape is undeniable and you don't notice his lack of length on tape. But when you see all of the historical context of guys with that short of arms, where they go in the draft, what they do when they get to the NFL, it does scare me to take a guy who would have to be the complete exception to what we know at number 4. I just feel like that's a little too high for someone who would have to be a unicorn given his length limitations.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. And it can be something in certain situations that show up. But I tell you, he's learned to use his hands really well. And that's something I talked to him about at the Combine. He called Jason Taylor, the Hall of Fame pass rusher for the Dolphins. He called him a second dad. And if you watch he and Akeem Mesidor, what they do with their hands is next level. Like these guys are doing NFL, like their hands are NFL strength and quickness at the college level. And I think you do have to take that into account. And I think you also look at one of the things that I've always said, and this is especially the case where you're coming off the edge, right? You're coming off the edge. Typically, you're going to use that long arm, that stab. You know what I mean? That's something that Nick Bosa used all the time. Joey Bosa used it too. But I say that to say when you use that one-arm stab, if I'm stabbing at an O lineman with one arm and he's pushing two out, my one arm is longer than his two arms because of the extension. So there are times where, that may show up, but I don't think it's a forever hindrance or a handicap for him as a player. I think it is something that he could get over. And I mean, there have been players who like we're talking about like a half an inch to an inch. I mean, you look at multiple guys, man. Brandon Graham has done well with despite having, I think his arms were 31 and 3/4, 32. I mean, you look at Melvin Ingram has done well. There are players that have excelled without having super long arms. But when you're in this situation where you have the number 4 overall pick, as you said, you don't want to be drafted in the top 5 again ever, but especially in the near future. So you do have to white tooth, fine tooth comb, white glove it, and look at all perspectives. But to me, the short arms aren't a huge hindrance. I don't know that he's going to be a hugely successful sack guy, but I think he's going to be someone that will impact the quarterback and get your pressures. I would imagine 10 to 12 sacks, which I don't think is bad. But the other thing you have to look at, you're looking to set a tone, right? And if you go back to the playoffs, the college football play,
right,
that dude set a daggone tone. So that's how I look at it.
No, it is tough in my mind, having watched him dominate in the college football playoffs, and I was all on board with Ruben Bain. It's just it's so hard to say. At number 4, you're going to take a guy who would have to go against everything that we know historically about guys with short arms. So it's it's a very strange draft, TD, because I would say right now there's not a single guy that I would be thrilled with at number 4. Like a guy that I would say he's there, run the card in. But I think there are like 8 guys. If the Titans traded down 4 spots and were picking at 8 or 9 or something like that, I would be thrilled taking any of them at 9. It's just it's a value question. And I think if you could add a little bit of value, get another second, maybe another first, and move back, and then take one of these guys, Love, Styles, Bain, Downs, Bailey, Reese, like any of those guys, even their wide receivers, Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate, any of those guys, if you move back to 8 or 9, man, I would feel so much better. But you obviously have to have a trade partner to move back there and have to feel good about all of those guys and not feel like you're taking a step down by moving back a few spots.
Yeah, and see, that's where the Washington 7, 8, 9 is so significant to the Titans and their trade back possibilities, right? Because, and I think 5 is too, but I just don't see a team moving up to get Sonny Styles. But I could see teams moving up to get Jeremiah Love. I could see them moving up to get Love because so you look at Washington. To me, Washington, that's the floor for Love. I don't think he goes after 7.
I would agree.
Right. And so that being said, if you're in New Orleans, you're like, yeah, I got to get ready to replace Kamara. And I compliment Olave too. Yeah, let's go ahead and bump up above Washington. You know what I mean? They're going to have to go to 4 because there's a legit chance the Titans take Love at 4. So they got to convince the Titans with some, some extra ammo to come off of that and give them the pick, move down 3 and get an additional whatever. I think the same thing, or excuse me, move down 4. I think the same thing is said for the Chiefs at 9. And now, the Chiefs got 2 first-round picks this year now.
Yep.
Let me ask you, 9 and 29 and a 4th for number 4?
It would be close. Yeah, I think that would be close, and maybe I would want a 3rd in there too, just because 29 is a little lower. Like if it was the Cowboys and they offer 12 and 20 straight up, I think I'd do that.
Take it, yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to look at the value chart and see. But I think 9, 29 and a little sweetener would probably get it done.
All right, let's look at that. I think that would be that's a good exercise that we could do. I know it's getting, we're kind of going off script here, but let's look at that. So let's say, all right, Mendoza, Reese, and let's say the Cardinals go O-line. Right? So you're sitting at 4. You got your choice of Love, Bain, Bailey. Right? New Orleans says, you know what? I'm going to give you – well, let's do Kansas City. Kansas City says, all right, let's go 9, 29, and a 3rd for 4. So now Kansas City is on the clock. At 4, they take Love. The Giants, they take Sonny Styles. The Browns, they take Monroe Freeling. The Commanders –
Caleb Downs, maybe?
Okay, let's go Caleb Downs. The Saints take Carnell Tate. Now you're sitting there at 9, and you got Bain.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
That could be possible.
That's the thing with me and some of these players is like 4 feels too rich for them, but I would love to get them a few spots back and pick up those extra picks, right?
Yeah.
And so that would be the ideal situation for me is if they could trade out and still get one of these guys, Love, Bain, even Styles. I think again, I that might be a little high, but and one of the wide receivers. Like if you really like Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate and you feel like you can move back and get them, then that would be great too. So Titans, they have a lot of options at their disposal, right? Being at number 4, you're going to have options. It's just how can you maximize the value of that pick? And we're going to have lots of conversations like this over the next 6 weeks leading up to draft night. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our football offseason coverage is brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks. Raise a glass with Tennessee Brewworks, proud partner and official craft beer of the football offseason coverage on 1025 The Game. We will wrap up hour number 1 after this, talk a little bit more about some prospects for the Titans in the draft, and we will take your questions for TD coming up at 10 o'clock. You can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. With you on this TD Thursday, talking Titans with Turron Davenport. And I love every time we come out of commercial, I just see TD dancing back in the studio. Parker 3 for 3 to start off the day.
Cool it now. What? I remember the young kid. Look, I had the brush. I used to sing that sing that song into the brush in the mirror and be like, cool it now. Yeah. That was let's see, I'll venture to say 85, I think it was.
Ooh, really close. 84.
84. Okay. So you're in the 84 bag. All right. That's what's up, man. Yeah. 8 years old. Look, I used to want to get the little shag. So you would have a low haircut, and then it was basically like a black mullet. That's what it is. A mullet for black folks. I was never allowed to get it though. Too funny, man. Wow, that's what I love. Music, literally, like I'm 8 years old again. 41 years ago, that's where my brain is right now, man. That's crazy.
I don't know how Parker does it. Like week after week, he finds new songs that just gets TD going.
Yeah.
So applause to Parker back there, doing a great job. Wrapping up hour number 1. Again, coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get to your questions for TD. So make sure to get those in 615-737-1025. You can text or call. We've got some good ones on the text line already. TD, before we wrap up this conversation about the draft, wanted to get your thoughts on maybe some guys who have stood out to you as options in the second or third round, because number 4 is going to get all the attention right now. That's the big question. Is it going to be Love? Is it going to be Bain? Will it be Bailey? But you've got 2 really valuable picks as well at 35 and 66. After Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, Combine, anybody standing out to you that you would love for the Titans to get at the top of the second or third round?
Yeah, I tell you one right now. You talk about Wan'Dale Robinson and the free agency deal. Well, why not go for Skylar Bell out of UConn? And I mean, this dude is a playmaker. I watched the Syracuse game the other night, and I was really impressed with him. He's a guy that, when I watch him, he gives me DJ Moore vibes. Whereas like he's strong after the catch. He could work the slot or outside. He's someone that I think at the top of the second, would be a legit pick. I'm trying to think of some of the other players. You look at Ephesians Price, the big Washington corner, in the third round. I think that's a legit option. Top of the second, I think Cassius Howe could be there because he didn't really show much at the combine, but I mean he's a legit pass rusher. I always had him in that 25 to 40 range. So that's the Texas A&M pass rusher. He's a legit player, man. He's been one of my favorite pass rushers this whole season. So that's someone else. So let's see. We covered. All right. Well, what about running back? Right. We talk about drafting, not bypassing Love. Well, what about going with the guy that ran faster than him? You know what I mean? Out of Arkansas. And here's the thing: that 4.33 shows on tape, and he's 225. Now, I don't know that he's someone that you will leave on the field on third down and get as much, from him as you would get from Love. We're talking about Mike Washington. I think there are multiple players, on day 2 that you could get that will be impactful. I mean, you look at the receivers. You could even go back to Jacoby Lane, on day 3. You know what I mean? That's another guy out of USC who I've talked about before. Here's one for you. You talk about trading back. Ideal situation for the Titans would be, okay, you go from 4 to remaining in the top 10, right? You get another first-round pick, and you get another day 2 pick, and you use that on A.J. Brown Jr., a.k.a. Chris Bell, out of Louisville. So there are options that you could do.
How about here's one that I think he might be my draft crush, and my Vandy people may not be happy about this, but I really like Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
The way he plays, it reminds me a little bit of T. Higgins. Like that's kind of the comp that comes to mind just watching him play. He ran a 4.37 at the combine last week.
Cooking.
Do you think he's around at 35? Do you think that could be a pick for the Titans to stay within the state?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a pick. The thing with him is just showing that he could run the full route. And that's I hate that about that Tennessee offense. It doesn't really showcase what these guys could do. And sometimes they get there and surprise you. Other times they don't. And, kind of is what it is. But he is someone that absolutely, and I love the mindset, right? Because we were talking about how he takes press coverage personally. Because he's like, man, a guy comes up in my mug and he's trying to press me.
Disrespectful.
Is disrespectful, and the quarterback is looking at me, and I take it personally because he's looking at me and he's telling me I better get open, and it's not I better get open, it's I'm going to get open, give me that rock, so I do like that, you know what I mean, and to be that big and run that fast. He actually, here's another cool thing. He said he talked to Randy Moss on the phone, and Randy Moss told him he liked this game. I thought that was pretty dope. When you're that big and you can run like that, and you get a guy who's the premier at being big and running like that on the phone, like that's got to give you a nice charge.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the Titans, I think one thing is for sure, they're going to have options at 35. This is a deep draft at edge, wide receiver, and corner. So I think you're going to have some really good players still on the board for you. It's just going to be what Mike Borgonzi and this front office value the most when they come back onto the clock. Mustard Tiger on the YouTube chat says that Skylar Bell cross paths with Chim Dike at Wisconsin. I didn't realize that they were Badgers at the same time.
Who's that?
Skylar Bell and Chim Dike.
Oh, yeah, because he played 2 years at Wisconsin. Yep.
There you go. So could be reuniting some Badgers in Nashville if that ends up being the pick. 615-737-1025. Fun first hour with TD. We've got 2 more hours to go. Coming up next, it is your chance to talk to TD. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025. You can text or call with anything for TD. Again, most of it's going to be Titans related. It doesn't have to be. We always say that. You can ask TD anything. Music, life, baseball, whatever. We will bring it to TD coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Hour number 2 coming up here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you. Hour number 2 on this TD Thursday. Broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun first hour. And as it always is, at 10 a.m. on a Thursday, it is time for Talk to TD. If you have questions for Turron Davenport, text or call 615-737-1025. We will try to get to all of them. Already a good amount here on the text line. TD, let's start with Dave in Big Rock. And this is actually a good question because I was thinking about getting to this later in the show too. He asked, would you consider trading the first round pick for the Titans, the 4th overall pick, for a premium veteran at a position of need? He says the Rams strategy. So would you think about that? I'll throw a few names out there. Max Crosby, Justin Jefferson. Would you consider, if it was available to the Titans, trading the 4th overall pick for an established veteran player?
I mean, Justin Jefferson, absolutely. I'm doing that. Sign me
up. It would
up.
probably cost you more than the 4th overall pick for Jefferson.
Yeah, it would cost you a little more, but I mean, look, that's a premier player at a ripe age. You know what I mean? Max Crosby is intriguing. I would consider it. He's 28 years old. It's just, I think the real thing is, okay, how far do you think this team is from being competitive? Because you don't want to get a player like Crosby, you know, at 28, and then in 3 years he's starting to decline, and that's when you're starting to be good. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Max Crosby is a transformational type of player. So guess what I just did? I talked myself into Max Crosby. So you look at Max Crosby, Justin Jefferson, yes.
Yeah, I think it would have to be the right deal, and I agree with you. You want to make moves that fit your timeline. Like, I understand it wasn't a first-round pick, but you traded for L'Jarius Sneed when this roster was probably more in need of a reboot than bringing in established veteran players who you had to give up top 100 picks and you had to pay. So I think that, yes, in the right situation, if it's Justin Jefferson, I think I would do it, right? You give Cam Ward one of, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. I think that makes sense. Crosby, I think you could argue one way or the other. Yes, he's an elite player. How long is he going to be elite, and is it worth the draft capital that you'd have to give up? But that's a good question from Dave in Big Rock. Cullen on the text line. This is a popular question around here. Based on the combine, which was a very good one for Eli Stowers, where do you see the Vanderbilt tight end getting drafted?
That joker jumped 45 inches. Good Lord. I mean, that's like putting 4 quarters on the top of the backboard, you know what I mean, and swiping the 4 quarters and leaving $1 there. Like, man, I think I could see back end of the second round because he has the production too and the playmaking ability. Like, he's not just some gym warrior.
Right.
It's a complete picture. And I always looked at him as a day 2 prospect. But I think, you know, the upper part of day 2 is right where he should go. You know what I mean? Right in that like mid to back end of the second round.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he clearly showed out at the Underwear Olympics. It was like the 3rd highest jump of any position in the last 20 years or something like that. His broad jump was 11 feet and 5 inches, and then he ran a 4.51. So Eli Stowers, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in him with the athleticism plus the production. He was the Mackey Award winner this year too. So excited to see where Stowers goes. Could be one of the higher Vanderbilt players picked in the last decade. Let's go back to the text line. Again, it's your chance to talk to TD. Any questions that you have for Turron Davenport, we will get to them over the next 30 minutes. Here's a good one from Justin in Greenbrier. TD, the Titans haven't had many wide receivers with, quote-unquote, that dog in them outside of D-Mace. Who is a receiver in the draft that has that dog? The I will fight you for this ball like it's the last loaf of bread before the ice storm kind of dog. Justin, very specific in his question there.
I mean, look, the name that comes to mind immediately is Chris Bell, man. Like, I listen, Chris Bell is not getting enough talk, man. Like, that guy, and listen, Jake, he got off the podium, and I kind of like went to the area where they cross over before they go to Sirius and CBS and NBC and all that. Bro, he's a legit 225, man. Like you're not getting away from that. He's a legit 225. And here's the thing, right? You want somebody got the dog in it. I know being loud isn't always or advertising that you're a dog isn't always a dog, but he was like, listen, man, I'm hurt, and I'm gonna be back soon, but don't forget, I got that dog in me. And he looked right at everybody and leaned into the mic, was like, I got that dog in me. You know what I mean? I'm a dog.
It wasn't like a Makai Lemon type of stare, was it?
No, and the Makai Lemon thing, from what I understand, like I talked to my guy Sua Cravens, who he's a USC legend, but he covers USC for ESPN LA, and that's just Makai. That's how he is. You know what I mean? But yeah, the whole like looking down and like
he was trying to seduce the media.
Put the fear of God in me.
I just was like, okay, yeah, all right, this is cool. But now Chris Bell would be the answer to that question.
Yeah, I like Chris Bell, and I think there's a balance of picking injured guys. I know Titans fans in general are a little wary after the Caleb Farley situation, but a torn ACL got you Jeffrey Simmons at number 19.
Yeah.
And he was not going to get to 19 before the torn ACL. He was back by it was early November. It was the Chargers game.
Chargers game. Yep.
Was his first game
and
back.
Had a sack in that one.
Yes, he did. And so I think there's a balance of, yes, you don't want to reach for guys who are injured, but sometimes an injury allows you to get a valuable player at a spot where they typically wouldn't have been available.
And the injury is relative also. I mean, we're talking about a fused
right.
back.
Right. Yeah, the Caleb Farley thing is very different.
Yeah.
And Chris Bell, he had his surgery in November, so I think it would be borderline him being ready for the season or not. Like, I think he would probably miss a little bit of training camp. They'd work him back, but I don't think he would miss nearly as much time as Jeffrey Simmons did, who tore his ACL in the pre-draft process in February?
Well, here's the thing. Chris told me that this week he's going to start running.
Wow. So maybe moving a little bit quicker. And ACL and Achilles injuries, yes, they still take a long time to recover from, but every year it feels like that recovery time is getting a little bit shorter. So I don't think I would be super concerned if the Titans took Chris Bell towards the top of the second round. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Getting to your questions for TD. TD, we kind of addressed this in the last segment, but Caleb says he wants to hear your thoughts on taking the best defensive player available at 4 and then getting Mike Washington out of Arkansas later in the draft, talking about his combine, his athletic score, all that kind of stuff. I know you said that Mike Washington could be an option later in the draft for the Titans.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad look. I think Jeremiah Love is a bigger home run hitter, more complete player, a more impactful player. You know what I mean? But you can't go wrong that way either, because I think Washington's going to be a really good player. I probably would lean towards the latter. The best defensive player, as long as it's Bain, Bailey, or Reese, and Mike Washington Jr. I think that would be a bigger value thing, so to speak.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. You can text or call with any questions for TD. More Talk to TD coming up on the other side. 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Much more to come with Turron Davenport. We've got plenty of questions on the text line. We will get to them coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5. The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly here on your Thursday morning. Every time looking at the stream and seeing the break screen go away and TD just going wild is great. It's making me smile on this Thursday morning.
Tone Loc, Funky Cole Medina.
It's amazing.
Like, to make me holler.
I love this because typically on, like, if I'm doing these shows remotely on Zoom, I can't see. So this is great because it is. If you're not watching the stream, obviously not if you're driving, but if you're not watching the stream and you can't watch the stream, watch it. It'll make you smile when we come back from break.
I'm going to ensure that we all have a good time today.
I love it. I love it. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and it is still Talk to TD on this Thursday. So if you have questions, get those in. 615-737-1025. Let's stick with the text line here, TD. 3337. I think this is a really good big picture question about the Titans. He says, is it a coincidence that we had like 5 of 6 years of bad drafting, or is this a developmental issue / coaching? Because basically none of those players are on our team anymore. Do you think that this veteran coaching staff will be able to develop young players when they get in the building?
I think it's a mixture of everything. I mean, there have been bad drafting, like Isaiah Wilson. There has been lack of development when you look at some of the players. Let me think of a guy, Malik Willis, right? You know, they didn't develop him fully. They got rid of him before he started to really, really become a better player. I mean, look, here you go, lack of development, Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's also a lack of retaining, right? You could go back to Jack Conklin, or, you know, you could look at some of the players that have gone on to play a lot better elsewhere. So I think it's a mixture of all three.
Yeah, I think when your team is bad, there's bad evaluation. There's also bad coaching. It all rolls into one. Typically, if you're drafting a guy early, there's talent there, and the coaches are supposed to get the most out of it, but you can't always predict what's going to happen when you get those guys into the building. So I think you're right. I think there's a mixture of all of those aspects in there. Ben on the text line says, I saw where combine stuff is negatively impacting some people's draft stock. Is there anybody that could move into the top 10 that wasn't there before? I know you mentioned this guy, Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia. It feels like he has come out of nowhere to be a possible top 10 pick this year.
Yeah, I mean, he had consistent play all year, you know, at Georgia. He tested well. I mean, I watched him do the 11.4 in the broad jump. He moved well. I don't think he necessarily elevated himself because of the combine. I think another thing with this is like you'll see a guy do really well at the combine, and you're like, hey, wait a minute. Let me go back and rewatch this. And you're like, oh, that does show. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what happens a lot of times with guys is they, you know, they watch someone and you really like how they moved in the drills and stuff. And you go back to the film wanting to see him excel. So like a little small thing, like maybe a jump cut that he made, it stands out more because you're like, oh wait, I saw him like move very fluently through the cone drills, and then you see the jump cut, you're like, oh yeah, that's you're validating what excited you when you watched him, you know, on the field at the combine. So yeah, it can elevate a guy from that perspective, but I don't think it should elevate a guy like from 20 to 9 or something like that, like a whole round. That's if it's doing that, then you know, I don't think you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, I think I heard, it might have been Daniel Jeremiah, somebody on the combine coverage said that the combine is less about finding players, it's about confirming what you know about these guys. It's like, all right, what I see on tape, that's actually showing up in these times and these numbers that they're getting. And I guess I could say, like, Monroe Freeling maybe is coming out of nowhere to people like me, but it might just be people like me and fans and media learning what NFL franchises already thought about this player, right? Like that. I'm sure that they maybe thought Freeling was a top 15 pick, but maybe we're just learning about this after the combine.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely something that can be taken into account.
Here's one from Skyler. TD asks, he asked TD, where does Taylon Green end up? His combine was phenomenal, but obviously didn't have much success at Arkansas. Do you think Taylon Green, somebody wants to take a flyer on a guy like that with so much athletic ability, but maybe hasn't proven that he can be a quarterback at the NFL level?
They should. They should take a chance on him, and take a chance not by converting him to tight end or receiver. Don't Terrell Pryor him. Let him play quarterback. It's funny. I was sitting with Jordan Reed, watching him throw, and I was like, Jordan, man, like, I can't help but think Colin Kaepernick when I see his release. Like, he throws it like Colin Kaepernick. I think he could have that type of impact too. You know what I mean? Kaepernick was a much better runner than Taylon Green, but I think you could have that type of offense. Like, if I used a pick on him, I would do that if I had Greg Roman, especially as an OC. But at the very least, I would want Greg Roman on my staff because he knows how to, run that pistol, and he did that really well with the Ravens, obviously. But you go back to the 49er days, man. Kaepernick was killing folks, man, killing them. Running that read option, and then just some of the throws. Like, Kaepernick's arm was crazy. Now Taylon Green doesn't have the same arm, but I'm just saying, like, in that same context, like, you could use him in a similar way. And I remember those 49er teams, like, they were trouble. I remember being at the Patriots game in New England, and Kaepernick just grinded them up, and he had a throw across his body to Michael Crabtree for a touchdown, and it was crazy, man. Kaepernick was that dude, and I think Taylon Green can be in the right system.
Yeah, I think Taylon Green, it's not a guy you draft and immediately say you're going to be a wide receiver. But I think you look at the athletic traits and you can say, we can draft this guy. Maybe he becomes a quarterback, but we think we can turn him into a weapon with what he can do. Taysom Hill is an example of that, of a guy who was a quarterback. They've used him as a weapon. And I wonder if maybe that ends up happening with Taylon Green if he doesn't pan out as a pure quarterback in the NFL. 7127 on the text line says, if we don't re-sign Chig, who would be a good replacement in free agency? And I guess this might be a good time to get your thoughts on, I know Paul Kuharsky put out there last week that the Titans are prioritizing trying to bring Chig back. Your thoughts on that and where the Titans could go if they don't bring Chig back in free agency?
That's a good question. I do know correctly that they are looking to bring him back. See, I think Isaiah Likely is going to be I think he's going to be pricey. And it's basically Charlie Kolar. I remember watching him come out of it was Iowa State, I want to say. It was him, and another tight end. I forget who it was. I could look it up, but yeah, I remember him. He'll be a better blocking option. I'm trying to think who else.
If you're looking at blocking options, how about Josh Cuevas from Alabama? You could get on day 3.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking draft. Yeah.
No, you could get him on day 3.
Oh, I thought you wanted free agent.
Oh, well, I guess with if you let Chig walk, you have to at least get one more tight end. Could be in the draft, could be in free agency. I would lean free agency.
I know who. Cade Otton.
See, I do like that.
I would go. I wonder what he's going to cost, but that would be the one. But again, it depends on what you want, right? You want to block it. Cade Otton could block.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want a flex guy, a move guy, you could go ahead and go for Isaiah Likely. And it just really depends on like what you want to do. That's what's so interesting about Daboll. And what I like about Daboll is he's shown that he could work. He was in New England when they did, the 12 personnel. That was probably the best 2 tight end package ever, right? In Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. You know what I mean? So you do have that. If I could get a quick, I'm gonna leave it out. I ain't gonna say it. So you have that. Dallas Goedert is interesting.
Yeah, I saw Caleb just put that on the YouTube chat.
Oh, let me look in there and see.
Caleb said Dallas Goedert. I don't know if you have to spend big at tight end,
right?
Because you have Gunnar Helm, and it's not like you need a tight end 1. I think you're hoping Gunnar Helm develops into a tight end 1. So I think you're looking for somebody to supplement him. Chig would be fine to bring back, but I think there are other options for you if you decide, or if Chig decides to test the open market.
Yeah, I like the option with Chig because I've seen how you know how you could use him. I keep going back to that Jaguars game, the season finale, the one where Josh Dobbs didn't fumble, but they said he did, whatever.
Yeah.
But that wheel route out of the backfield, out of the fullback position that he ran, and how Chig just caught it right over the shoulder and it was a touchdown. Like, those are the things. Like, I want guys, if I'm a coach, I want guys. The league is about matchup. And to me, a guy with Chig Okonkwo's ability, that's like the queen on the chessboard, right? Because you can line him up out wide. I believe he'll beat a lot of linebackers. You could have him run in the slot where, if he gets passed into the third part of the defense, the safety, I think he'll beat a safety. You know what I mean? And then you could go back against a linebacker like as a Y. You know what I mean? There's so many things that you could do with him, and that's what I like about Okonkwo. Somebody put in, what about bringing Jonnu back?
Yeah.
I would love that personally because, Jonnu I like Jonnu. I'll just put it that way. I consider Jonnu a friend. That would be cool having him back, but it's just, I don't think he has a lot of juice left. That's the only problem. So 2 years ago, yeah, I'm all for it, but I wouldn't be as much right now.
I think Arthur Smith might be trying to find a friendly judge in Columbus, Ohio to see if he can get
some eligibility.
This is Jonnu Smith. He's 29 years old, but he has 1 year of eligibility remaining. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got some more questions, so let's extend Talk to TD. One more segment, so get your final questions in for TD. 615-737-1025. You can text or call. We will get to them coming up next. In the final hour of the show, we are doing all free agency. We are just a few days away from the legal tampering period opening up on Monday, so we will go through everything that could happen for the Titans next week, but we will extend Talk to TD coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on your Thursday. We are extending Talk to TD today. One more segment with your questions. Another good one from Parker here.
This is a good example of Booger McFarland saying stats show a lot, but not everything. And he compared them to bikinis because MC Hammer sold more records than just about anyone else as far as hip hop and rap is concerned. But we're not going to talk about him when we talk about the top rappers. Like he's not a god like Rakim, KRS-One. I gave Connor, by the way, I gave Connor a nice little introduction to KRS-One. I played a song, Love's Gonna Get You. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do music-wise before the Jeremiah Love portion of Talking with TD. And so BDP, KRS-One, Love's Gonna Get You came to mind. But we ended up playing LL Cool J, I Need Love. It just made better sense. And it was easier to find a clean version for that.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Very, very good stuff from Parker so far today. TD has been loving it. I love with the flash of the camera and just seeing TD's reaction.
Did you see me hit the hammer when he hit the joint like this? Then he was like this. I can't do the dance that he did anymore. But yeah, man, Hammer used to get it.
I will say when I played Little League Baseball, I had pants that were way too big for me. And so all of the parents would yell, "Can't touch this," when I came up to the plate. Maybe that had more to do with my hitting ability than it did the pants. But anyway, let's get back to some questions on the text line. This is an interesting one from Matthew in Nashville. And I think it's unrealistic, but we can frame it in a better way. He says if the Jets and Cardinals both go quarterback, does that change your thinking at all if you're the Titans? I will frame it this way. There's a chance maybe Simpson slips up into the top 3. Teams fall in love with quarterbacks all the time. But let's say it goes Mendoza, Simpson, and the Cardinals go offensive line. They go Maui Noah. So everybody is on the board for the Titans. Who are you taking? Like if you don't have to worry about the Jets or Cardinals taking anybody, who's your pick for the Titans?
Yeah.
Makes it difficult because honestly, I think it helps the Titans a little bit that 2 of these guys are going to go off the board in front of you, and it takes away a couple options. But if the world is your oyster, who's your pick at 4?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with David Bailey, man.
That's my pick too. I think out of the pass rushers, he is the most complete guy and I'll say safest guy, right? Like he's got the stereotypical central casting length and size for a pass rusher. He had 14.5 sacks this year. The one question you have is the bend and the flexibility, the mobility on the edge. But I feel like that's coachable. Like I feel like with this staff, I think you could get the most out of him. I think David Bailey would be my pick too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just the upside as a pass rusher is tremendous, man.
Let's see. 7127. Here's a good one. Do you think there's a chance we bring Kevin Byard back?
I don't think it's likely. I don't. Yeah, it's. I would say no.
Yeah, I really hope so. And when we've done our simulations of the offseason, I've brought him back both times just purely out of the feels. And yes, he led the league in interceptions last year. So it's not like you're bringing in a guy who's completely washed and just doing it for emotion.
Right.
But I do think it's probably less realistic given the way things ended here. I know that was a different regime that traded him away, but I do think Kevin Byard probably isn't coming back.
Yeah, it's not likely.
Let's see, a couple more. Andrew from Dover with a non-football related question. He says, TD, with the NCAA tournament coming up, there is always controversy about teams getting in over others. Do you think they should make a minimum amount of wins to be eligible for the tournament? Say 20 plus. I know this has been a big discussion this week of like, should the 10th best SEC team get in over some of these mid-major teams? What are your thoughts on the bubble of the NCAA tournament, TD?
I like that idea of a minimum win. I like that a lot, but it's different in college basketball and college football, as far as like the mid majors. Like, I wouldn't dare put MTSU up against, I don't know, Indiana this year. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But I would very well. And I mean, look, like, you got your Murray State beat, like, every year you got a 11 or 12 seed. Well, not every year, but a lot of times you got an 11 seed upsetting somebody. So in college basketball, it's like the mid majors, they tend to have better team approaches because these guys stay together for 3, sometimes 4 years. You know what I mean? And so you take that and you go against the one and done and the experienced players. It's a better matchup. So I say all that to say the number 10 SEC team, I don't know that it's better than the number 1 mid-major. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would definitely have a minimum win requirement to be in a tournament.
Yeah, I think you look at football and it's such a physical sport that the gap is wider. You put Georgia on the same field as Chattanooga, and the physical toll of that game likely means that Chattanooga can't win. But in basketball, team gets hot from 3, another team doesn't show up, maybe makes too many mistakes. Anything can happen. And I kind of lean the same way with you. It's like, let's reward the teams that are winning their games. I know the Miami of Ohio question is going to be big of, even if they lose the MAC tournament, do they get in? I would argue yes. That's a team that's undefeated at this point in the season. They've won all their games. That has to matter at some point, even if they haven't played the toughest schedule. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Great stuff today on Talk to TD. Appreciate everybody who chimed in. We didn't get to all of the questions, but there were a few that I decided to pass up on because we will get to it coming up later. So stay tuned. We will get to some of your free agency questions coming up in the final hour of the show. We will wrap up hour number 2 coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, finishing up the second hour of the show. And TD, we got some breaking news. DJ Moore has been traded to the Buffalo Bills. Ian Rappaport reporting that it is a mid-round pick going back to Chicago. We had talked about DJ Moore as a possible target for the Titans, but now the Bills go out and get a new weapon for Josh Allen. I think that's a good move for Buffalo. I really do. A.J. Brown, I think, would have been a better player. I think, like we mentioned, Justin Jefferson, I don't know how available he is. But in terms of value for what you're giving up, I think DJ Moore is a really good addition for this team.
A really good addition. And he gives you a reliable, sturdy receiver that's going to get you those free yards. I love the trade. Honestly, I put my hands up in the air because it's like, Mike Berganza, you got 3 4th-round picks, man.
Right.
Like, get rid of one of them and get the most underrated receiver in the league. Like, go get him. I think that would have been a good move. And he's 28 years old, right? So we're not talking about an old head. He'll be 29 in a couple of weeks. That's what it says here. So April 14th. So more than a couple of weeks. It doesn't seem like a couple of weeks the way time goes. But anyhow, yeah, I that's a move I would absolutely have made. Kudos to the Bills for going to get him, man. DJ Moore is an outstanding receiver. He's one of those guys. Actually, I followed him since youth. I coached him at the Sean Jackson football camp, and then I knew his coach at Imhotep in Philly, and then at Maryland. I watched him at Maryland, and when he was coming out of Maryland, I was a really a big advocate for him, one of my favorite receivers. And I was at his pro day, and obviously, Carolina and Chicago. Like, he's a good player, man. That's a trade I would love to have seen the Titans make, but kudos to the Bills.
I would have loved DJ Moore. I think in terms of the guys that you had available, he might have been one of the most talented that you could have gone and gotten. Maybe this was the Bears trying to do right by DJ Moore, too, and send him to a place where he still felt like he could compete. The Bills are one of those teams that, with Josh Allen, you always feel like they're just a couple pieces away from being a Super Bowl contender. So I'm interested to see what the return is here. Ian Rappaport said mid-round pick. That makes you think 4th. And again, if it's a 4th, Titans, you can take on that contract. I know it's a big contract, but you can take on that contract for a 4th-round pick. If it's a 3rd, maybe I would understand a little bit more why you don't do that. The Bills' 3rd is closer to the back end of the top 100, rather the Titans is 66. But, man, if it would have cost you 101 to get DJ Moore, I would have done that in a heartbeat. It's tough. But DJ Moore has been traded. There was a report here, too. I think it was Tom Pelissero putting out there that the Bills were also very interested in A.J. Brown. They elect to go with DJ Moore. What are your thoughts on the A.J. Brown saga here, where it looks like he is likely going to be traded? And, with the Bills now out of it, is it New England? Like, is that just – are we just waiting for the inevitable that Mike Vrabel and A.J. Brown reunite?
Yeah, you saw who got released, right? They released Stephon Diggs. So I would say it's a matter of time, man. You look at Vrabel's relationship with AJ, remember? Yo, he had to walk that one off, man. They traded him. He had to get it. You saw him go like,
yeah.
That was, I hate to laugh at someone's misery, man.
He wasn't the only one that had to walk it off. I was watching the draft with an obnoxious Eagles fan.
Let me tell you this, Parker. Look, this was me. Because it was myself, Stillman, Chris Sanders, and oh, damn.
Oh, were y'all doing the draft show?
We were doing the draft show. This was me. This was me right here.
See you, TD.
I think I went to my room.
The show. I was done. I ain't finished
the
show. A, because I had to write, and B, I had a stomach ache, man. I remember. I'll never forget driving home. I called him. I was like, AJ, what happened? I was so sick, man.
I remember sitting in my apartment, and I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. I think I might have told this story before, but I was watching the Suns close out a playoff series against the Pelicans. I remember, and Chris Paul was having a great game. He had just hit the dagger to win it and close out the series, and I was all fired up. And then I started getting texts saying, "I'm so sorry, Jake," and I'm like, "What's going on? What did I miss?" And I looked at the other TV, and AJ Brown traded. Yeah, the cut to Mike Vrabel walking it off was
was
hilarious. Very similar vibes to Calvin Ward in the Denver game. I feel like that's
Calvin Ward is all of us.
That's a very similar reaction of just like, oh goodness. Matthew from Jolton says Diggs to the Titans, complete the journey of bringing in washed receivers. Yeah, wouldn't touch Stephon Diggs with the 10-foot pole.
Yeah, no, I would leave that one alone. I would leave that alone.
I don't think that's an option. Somebody will take him on, but I don't think it should be the
I'm
Titans.
pretty sure there's a Bears fan in the Twitter chat that thinks the Titans got DJ Moore.
Yes, I did. I saw that. It says Bears fan here. Y'all got a hard worker. I wish, but no.
I would take it.
DJ Moore being traded to the Bills. Have not seen the official return yet here, and I'm waiting. I'm refreshing Twitter trying to see what the return is. There was confusion earlier this week in the David Montgomery trade about the return. It's funny. They said it's for a 5th-round pick, and then go, well, it's actually a 4th or 7th in an offensive lineman, but basically 5th-round value. And I wonder how a 4th or 7th in a player adds up to 5th-round value, but that's a question for another time. But anyway,
this isn't why I'm heartbroken, though, about DJ Moore. I'm heartbroken because there's a local establishment that I love to frequent in Chicago that had a DJ Moore meal. That is gone now.
Really?
And it was one of my favorite things. It's gone.
So they had a DJ Moore meal.
They had a DJ Moore meal. And I'm not gonna mention the place, but
yeah,
I loved it.
No free shout.
I loved it.
Oh, see, and you know what? Here's the thing: if they would have traded for him, he could have came to Chicago's home of chicken and waffles.
Exactly.
There
And
you
had
go.
his own. Because I will
And
shout
then
them
get
out.
another meal.
Yeah, you know I'll shout them out because next Wednesday, shameless plug, at 8 p.m., MCD, A West, and I were doing a live version of Talking with TD there at 8 p.m. Get there a little bit earlier because the kitchen apparently is closing at 9, but it's going to be a great show, man. So come out, support at Chicago's home of chicken and waffles, where they could have had the DJ Moore meal.
If he comes here. Well, I mean, I guess that's not going to happen.
Not going to happen now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
So
that'll
sad.
be
Buffalo
that'll be
better
a ton
get
of
one.
fun.
Buffalo better get a DJ Moore meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Can they figure out a way to get like a DJ Moore sauce on some of the wings out there? Maybe that's what has to happen.
That would get me to go to Buffalo for the first time.
Yeah, there you go. I guess you're just big on DJ Moore cuisine, no matter where it is. So
I'm telling you, Jake, it was a life-changing meal.
Huh. I was in Chicago a couple last month and didn't do that. Oh well.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Breaking news that DJ Moore has been traded to the Buffalo Bills. So that's an option at wide receiver, no longer available to the Titans. And again, shout out TD, Chicago's home of chicken and waffles next Wednesday. If you want to go out there for the live show, 8 o'clock. 615-737-1025. We got one more hour left on the show. We are going to talk free agency the entire hour because it is just days away. It is crazy how fast we get from the season being over to the free agency frenzy. Monday, the legal tampering period opens up. There's a very good chance that by the next time we talk to TD next Thursday, that the Titans might have a whole new look roster-wise and are getting ready to have a whole new look uniform-wise, too. A week from today, the Titans releasing their new look. So we will talk free agency when we come back. Some of the big names that we're already hearing linked to the Titans. What do the Titans do at wide receiver, running back, center, defensive line? We will get into all of it in the final hour of the show. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour on this TD Thursday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Beat Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Been a great show so far. Lots of fun. Got into the draft in hour number 1, all of your questions in hour number 2, but free agency is almost here. The legal tampering period opens up on Monday. So the next time we have TD on the show, the Titans roster could look very different. Let's dive in to what the Titans could do with their league leading nearly $100 million in cap space as it stands right now. TD, we'll lead off with the two guys that I think the smoke is biggest for. There is the most smoke for John Franklin Myers and Wan'Dale Robinson. How likely do you see those two guys becoming Titans next week?
Yeah, I think the John Franklin Myers one is like a pretty much a done deal. And we know that he's someone. Now, when I say done deal, I'm not saying it's already been negotiated or anything like that. I'm saying it's very clear the interest is mutual. Tanzel Smart, a former teammate, is now the assistant D-line coach. Robert Saleh, if you go back and remember Saleh with the Jets, Franklin Myers was a guy that they extended while he was there. He had a really good game against the Titans in that Corey Davis revenge game. So that one I think is pretty much a done deal. And then you pair that with the need. Like, they need guys up front that can get to the quarterback. So you do have that. The Wan'Dale Robinson one is interesting. It's like I'm back and forth on that. I just wonder what the number is going to be. That's my big thing. What is that number going to be? And I think you have to look at that because, one of the things that I ask myself when I look at it is, okay, is $18 million too much for him? And I'm never one to say somebody doesn't deserve a certain amount of money. But, the fact of the matter is he's had 140 targets in each of the last years. Are you going to have 140 targets in the offense this year?
Yeah, probably not for Wan'Dale Robinson, given what you hope to see from Jim Dike and Alec Guyman. You probably draft a guy too. So, yeah, I don't think he's a 140 target guy if he comes here.
And then my thing is, if you go out and draft a Deion Burks, a KC Concepcion, by the way, shout out to KC, man, Concepcion, getting up there and despite his speech impediment, taking on the world and delivering his message. Shout out to him for that. But, if you could get a Skylar Bell, if you could get those types in the draft, like can you get the same production on less targets, but maybe a little more explosiveness if you go and draft those guys? A Zachariah Branch, you talk about guys at the top part of the second round. There's another one. So I just wonder where that deal is going to come in. And I wonder who else would be willing, like who would be willing to pay to go that high with him. That's because that's going all the way up. And Alec Pierce at $27 million, forget it. I would not do that. You know what I mean? I like Alec Pierce, but I'm not doing $27 million for it. No, we're not doing that. Not me. I wouldn't do that.
Well, it's funny you say that because those are the two names that have been linked to the Titans. I believe it was Jonathan Jones yesterday who put it out. Jeremy Fowler has put it out there that the Titans want Alec Pierce if Pierce isn't going to hit the market, which, based on his comments yesterday on Kay Adams' show, it looks like he is going to at least test the free agent market. It does seem like those are the two guys that the Titans have their eyes on if they're going to spend big in the free agency market at wide receiver.
Yeah. If they're going to spend big, those would be the two guys.
And it makes sense, right? Like with Wan'Dale Robinson, he has the familiarity with Brian Daboll and the system. And this has been a big question, and I heard DVD discussing this earlier this week, of how much of the bringing in your guys is too much, right? We're seeing it. Robert Saleh just traded, Mike Borgonzi made the trade, but you trade for one of Robert Saleh's guys in Jermaine Johnson. It seems like a close to done deal that John Franklin Myers is going to come here. You bring in Wan'Dale Robinson for Brian Daboll. Like, how much of just going out and getting the guys you're familiar with is too much rather than expanding your view to everybody who's available?
Yeah, and that's the thing you have to be wary of. It's kind of like the guy who is loyal to just Chevy, right? And you're just loyal to Chevy. That's all you get is Chevys. But if all you get is Chevys and Ford brings out a nice new Mustang or whatever, like, you're not even going to look at it. You're going to overlook it because you're going with what you're always used to. So I think loyalty and comfort to a fault is wrong. I'm not going to knock a guy for going what he's familiar with, but you have to be open to some of the other options that are out there. I think the Titans will be open to other options. I mean, their interest in Alec Pierce is kind of an example of that.
Yeah.
So you just have to be able to balance it to where you're not overly faithful to what you're used to.
So you're out on Alec Pierce at that price tag.
Yeah.
If it's $27 million?
No, I wouldn't do that.
I think with the Titans and having this much cap space, in free agency you're going to overpay. It's just a question of how much do you value these players? Like, we'll get into center in a little bit here, but Tyler Linderbaum might be one of those players that you're willing to overpay for because of the age, because of the talent that he has. You don't think Alec Pierce is in that tier of, hey, guys with his skill set don't typically hit the market. The Colts want to bring him back. You could kind of get a 2-for-1 if you're willing to win a bidding war for him. You not only add a dynamic downfield threat to your team, you take one away from your division rival.
You do that, and you take one away that has given you work. I do see what you're saying, and here's the thing, man. You look at Pierce, like he has, like we're talking about Deshaun Jackson level, stats, averaging as
20
many
plus yards per catch.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous. But you also have to factor in a lot of that. I'm not going to say a lot of that, but some of that has to do with Jonathan Taylor. Like, as good as he is, you almost have to. You got to stack the box. You know what I mean? You can't really go too high too often against the Colts. I don't have the numbers, but I would imagine there haven't been many teams that are working too high against them because of Jonathan Taylor. So that being said, I think there's other factors involved. I would stay away from it at that tag.
Yeah, I'm more playing devil's advocate. I've said all along, if you're paying $27 million, which is that is the rumored going rate, and it might even be more for Alec Pierce, you're not getting a wide receiver one in Alec Pierce.
Right.
And I know that it's the same thing as Dan Moore last year. You're not getting an all-pro left tackle in free agency. They don't get there. Wide receiver ones typically don't get to free agency. So I understand that, but I would rather, if you could get the price tag down on a Romeo Doubs or Jawan Jennings, I think is starting to lose a little bit of his appeal to people. I think you look a little deeper into Jawan Jennings and you say he's probably not worth the price tag he's going to get. But I do agree with you that paying $27 million or more for Alec Pierce, I could see it, but I don't know if that would be something I would do if I'm Mike Borgonzi.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I would honestly look at, and we've breached this before. I would look and see, okay, where does Pittman come in?
Right.
Like, where does he come in? Because they're going to – I mean, they got to shed a bunch, you know what I mean, in order to just get under the cap, let alone to be able to sign their own guys. You know what I mean? So that being said, I would definitely look at Pittman because I think he's going to be one of the guys that ends up being released. And, I mean, Pittman is a big, solid, sturdy target for your young quarterback, and that is an option. Now, I will say this. I think a lot of what Alec Ironmatter brings to the table is similar to Pittman. You know what I mean? So it would have to be at the right cost, but I would consider it.
And speaking of guys who bring similar skills, Rashid Shaheed looks like he's going to hit free agency. For me, and I want to get your thoughts on this too. Shaheed, good player. We saw what he did for the Seahawks this year. I feel like that's a little redundant with Jim DK being that burner and punt returner kind of guy. I don't know if I could see Shaheed and DK coexisting in this offense.
Yeah, no, I would leave that alone. I would leave that alone. I wouldn't look that route. I think DK has he has some more to grow into also. And I think DK is going to be – I think he's going to be a very good player. I wouldn't do anything to hinder that growth.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. You can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we will get into some of the big decisions the Titans have to make with free agency looming and how that could affect their strategy, talking about some of the cuts they might have to make. Snead, Pollard, Ridley. We'll do it next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on your Thursday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly.
To fix.
Few more segments on this Thursday morning. We are going through the Titans free agency plan. TD,
No half
loving it
stepping.
back at the station.
Yo, that's the God, Rock M, man. This was 86, 87, I want to say. Eric B is on the mic, and my name is Rock M. Funky. Yeah. That was from the Paid in Full album, man. Yo. I appreciate you, Parker. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Eric
Parker-
B's president.
Parker is
Yep.
having one of those all-time kind of days at the controls back there. Well done. Going through the Titans free agency plan, we just talked about some of the names that have been linked to the Titans the most. John Franklin Myers feels like one of the most telegraphed free agent signings of all time. I think most people would be pretty shocked if he didn't end up being a Titan at this point with some of the stuff that's going on social media.
The Giants have interest. Jordan Rodman reported.
I did see that, but Jermaine Johnson tweeting at him one more week, and John Franklin Myers responded with laughing emojis. John Franklin Myers responded to Tanzel Smart's announcement that he was joining the Titan staff with "you thinking what I'm thinking" and the eye emoji. So it's telegraphed. We'll see. Maybe it's all smoke, but I think that one makes a lot of sense. The wide receivers the Titans have been linked to: Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Pierce. I think for both of us, there's some red flags with both of those guys, but I also would understand it if that's the move the Titans decided to make. Titans have some decisions to make in their own room leading up to Monday. Let's start with Calvin Ridley while we're on wide receivers. How likely is it that you think he is going to be on the team moving forward? I think we all feel pretty confident L'Jarius Sneed going to be released at some point. I'm a little surprised it hasn't happened yet. But Calvin Ridley, I think, is one of those where it's truly 50-50 of whether the Titans feel like he's worthy of bringing back for 2026.
Yeah, I think they do bring him back. You look at the familiarity with Brian Daboll. You look at one of the things that in some of the conversations was like, why further deepen the need? And I think that makes a good point. Now, obviously, with Cushenberry, they did that on the offensive line, but that was injury related. The failed physical after the shoulder surgery. But I wonder where Ridley is injury wise. And I think it's a different situation with him because he's not dealing with a fresh injury. It's one that he's continuously rehabbing from. So I would say he's still around.
And I would understand that. The Titans right now, there's not a lot of depth in that wide receiver room. You've got the two young guys, DK and Iamaner. You could bring back Bryce Oliver, but Van Jefferson's a free agent. Calvin Ridley, you don't know. I think he should be back. And then we got a question about Xavier Restrepo on the text line too. Like, that's not somebody I think you can count on for next year. He's going to be a body in the room heading into training camp, but I don't think that's somebody you count on for any significant amount of snaps this season. So I would totally understand if the Titans bring back Calvin Ridley. I think it just depends on what they value in the free agent market and how much they want to spend at that wide receiver position in free agency this year.
Mm-hmm.
Running back, Tony Pollard. That's another big question. Does Tony Pollard stick around? We had the whole Jeremiah Love conversation in the first hour about whether the Titans could pick him at number 4. There are a couple of running backs out there on the market that I think would make a lot of sense for the Titans. Kenneth Walker looks like he's going to hit the free agent market. I know Breece Hall got tagged. Tyler Algier from the Falcons looks like he'll be out there. So the Titans have options at running back. I would lean towards cutting Tony Pollard, but I don't really know what the Titans are leaning towards at this point.
Yeah, I think a lot of that depends on, what can happen in free agency as well as the draft. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Ooh. Here's the thing, you don't have to do it now. Of course, doing it earlier would be a favor to him so he can land somewhere else and kind of get started on acclimating himself to a new team. But I mean, you don't have to do this till after the draft. Like, you could wait until the draft and do it. And there are, there's a good amount of running backs in there that could be a committee type of thing. And obviously you have a free agent in Brian Robinson Jr., who, his powerful running style, it matches what, I've seen Daboll have in the past in running backs, and obviously Salah's familiar with them. So that is an option. There are different directions that I think what happens in these next couple of weeks will really declare it will be a declaration of where they are, right? Like, if they cut Pollard, it's like, okay, yeah, you know what? They are more than likely going to go for Jeremiah Love if they cut Pollard and don't sign any free agents. You know what I mean? But then if they hold on to him, it's just really, okay, what are they going to do?
Yeah, I know. And I get what you're saying there. Of last year, the Titans kind of telegraphed what they were going to do with Cam Ward at the top of the draft when they only signed Brandon Allen at quarterback in free agency. So you may be able to read the tea leaves a little bit on what the Titans might be thinking at the top of the draft based on what they do in free agency. But you do make a good point. The Titans don't have to cut Tony Pollard or Calvin Ridley today or tomorrow. They can wait, see what they're able to get in free agency, and you don't let those guys stop you from going out and signing somebody at that position. But you also know that you have the fallback option if you aren't able to land somebody that you think is an upgrade, that you still have Pollard and Ridley under contract for next season.
Right, exactly.
So I think there's a lot of options for the Titans there. At running back, I just think you can get younger and you can get somebody who brings the similar talent as Pollard, and you don't worry about the decline. Pollard played great down the stretch when he finally got good blocking in front of him. I just wonder if the legs, the wear on the tires starts to thin out a little bit towards the end of his career. I do wonder if maybe you could find somebody a little bit younger, maybe a little bit cheaper, who can give you similar production this year, if you're not going to use that 4th overall pick on Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, it all depends, man.
We've gotten a couple of comments on this, and people have been texting and commenting in the YouTube chat about, we were saying you trade for DJ Moore, but don't sign Alec Pierce. I think you have to watch the games to realize why that makes sense, right? Like DJ Moore, the numbers may not have been as good as Alec Pierce this year. Like just the gross numbers of how many yards he had, how many touchdowns. But I think you look at the way DJ Moore plays the game and how helpful he was to Caleb Williams last year. And with Alec Pierce, there is a little bit of one-trick pony to him. He's a deep threat. There's not a whole lot else that Alec Pierce does. I think you trade for DJ Moore, and it's a shorter-term deal. You can get out of it a little bit easier, and you're bringing him in for 1 to 2 years. Yeah, the cap hit's going to be pretty big, but you're bringing him in as a guy who can help your young quarterback for a year or two. For Alec Pierce, it's a bigger commitment, and you're not getting as much of a dynamic weapon as you would in DJ Moore. Alec Pierce really is just the deep threat for the Colts, or at least that's what he's been to this point in his career.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you also have to look at it. There's an area for improvement. What Cam Ward is what? Deep ball passing. So accuracy. So you're getting a guy who specializes in something that your quarterback has to get better in. And I don't know that I would do that. And I think you get a big time player in DJ Moore. He's much more than just, as you mentioned, a deep threat. He is a guy that will get you you could use him across the formation. You could use him out of the backfield. There's so much more that he brings to the table. And as you said, it's not a long-term commitment. You know what I mean? I think this is one of those ones where he's, in my opinion, more QB friendly than Alec Pierce is at this moment right now.
Right. I think if you just look at the box scores and you say, well, DJ's older and he had less yards, why would you commit to him rather than Alec Pierce? I think you have to actually look at what the players do on the field, not just what their production was last season. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Continuing to go through the Titans free agency plan, and the move last week to cut Lloyd Cushenberry does leave a hole on the offensive line. What will the Titans do at center? Could they bring back Kevin Zeitler at right guard? We will get into the offensive line when we return. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up. You're on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly. Couple more segments on this TD Thursday.
Red Corvette.
Little bit of change of pace here from Parker.
Hey, nothing wrong with Prince. Nothing wrong with Prince. The little red Corvette's not parked outside.
That's
I
why I
took the
played
Hummer
it
today.
Oh.
Yeah, I had her out last night, man. I shined her up. She looking real beautiful. Only prettier woman than my Corvette. It's my baby.
TD smooth. We haven't gotten any Keisha Cole today here, Parker.
Yeah.
I thought about playing Keisha Cole just now.
We had to talk about that.
I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overdo the Keisha.
It's true. You got to mix it up every once in a while.
Yeah, so. I don't know if she listened. I don't want her to or watching. I don't want her to see me smile like that about another. Let me chill out, man.
Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly. We got 2 more segments with you on this TD Thursday. Chase and Big Joe are coming up at the top of the hour. TD, let's talk offensive line. Yeah. Again, free agency gets going next week. The legal tampering period opens up 11 a.m. Central Time on Monday. So we'll be on the air Monday morning when officially agents can start speaking to teams about free agent deals. And the offensive line is interesting this year for the Titans. 3 of the spots are locked in. Dan Moore is going to be the left tackle. Pete Skoronski is going to be the left guard. J.C. Latham is going to be the right tackle. Center and right guard are the interesting ones. Lloyd Cushenberry released last week, and there are plenty of options out there on the free agent market. Where do you think the Titans might look to try and replace Cushenberry in the middle of that line?
Yeah, I think obviously Connor McGovern is a guy that comes to mind because of the familiarity with Dable and his scheme. Luke Fortner is another one I think you should consider. Linderbaum is a guy that's going to come up, but from what I understand, there's a likelihood that he's priced out of their range. So I would look at those names as options. I think McGovern makes a ton of sense. You know what I mean? Because, again, the familiarity with Dable's scheme.
Yeah, and McGovern is a bigger center, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I've seen, I want to say it was Mike Herndon who put this out there. Linderbaum is more of your run blocking center, an elite run blocker, but not quite as good in pass protection. McGovern is the opposite. He's kind of an average run blocker, but he's going to be better in pass protection. That maybe fits more what the Titans are looking for when you have a young quarterback who's coming off of an injury.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And actually, you know what? And let me take that back. McGovern, he wasn't there with Dable. Excuse me, he was not there with Dable. Let me correct myself. Because as I said, well, wait a minute. I remember. Yeah, so I negate that. I still think McGovern is a good option, but it's just he's kind of. I just wonder where they come in at because I don't know for sure that they're going to allocate a whole lot of money to that center spot. But what I do know, and Kuharsky reported this too, it has to be they want to make things as Cam Ward friendly as possible. So towards the end of the year, like Cam at times, like he had that responsibility of calling out the mic and dictating the protection and those types of things. And they want to get that off of his plate to allow him to just, be more of just play ball, you know what I mean? As opposed to having to worry about all that pre-snap stuff. So that is something that you do have to consider. There are some solid mid-round options in the draft, but it's going to be a veteran that they're going to have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There may be some rookies that you take a flyer on later in the draft who you can maybe develop to be the future of that position. But I think with a young quarterback, you don't want to throw a rookie in there day one and say, all right, go be our starting center. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense for the Titans.
Yeah.
A couple other options that have been mentioned, Tyler Biadasz, who was released by Washington last week, and then Cade Mays, former Tennessee Volunteer. So some other options for the Titans at center.
Have you seen the compensation update that Schefter posted?
No. I've been looking for this.
So DJ Moore and a 5th for a 2nd round pick.
Wow. Okay. See, that might be a little steeper than I would have been willing to go, actually.
But the Bears also, too, had to get at a negative cap. So they're relying on their 2 young receivers.
Right, but man, well,
Luther Burden
for the
had a solid
Titans,
year.
it probably would have been more like a third, right? Like it's going to be a late second from Buffalo. Titans would have an early third, but still, that's a little bit steep to me.
Oof.
If it was a fourth, I think I would have done it, but giving up a top 100 pick, a little bit too much for me.
We're really trying to get Josh Allen to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. What is your second round pick if you're Buffalo going to be better than DJ Moore this year? Probably not. In the future, yeah, but the Bills are in win now mode pretty much. So very interesting. A second for DJ Moore and a fifth, the compensation update in that trade between the Bills and the Bears. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Nate has called in. Nate, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What up?
Man, I can't call it, man. Yeah, man, as much as I love, man, from Notre Dame, man, we got to get that offensive line right, man. Because, I think our quarterback got hit more than any other quarterback in the league last year, man. Go ahead.
It was he held the ball on a few times, and there were a few times where receivers just weren't getting. It's a mix.
Yeah, I get it, but hits are hits, man. And, if you look back over the last, I say like 12, 13, 14 years, man, the Titans, we've been breaking quarterbacks, man. Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota. Man, I seen Marcus Mariota get hit like I had never seen this before. Both defensive ends for the Baltimore Ravens hit him at the same time, man. And Marcus Mariota was never the same after all them hits, man. And I swear, like Ryan Tannehill got to go down as one of the toughest quarterbacks in history, man. Some of the hits he took, man, and we just can't let that happen again, man. Just letting our quarterback get hit, them hits add up, and man, I don't know, man. I just
if you forego Love in favor of an offensive lineman at 4, who do you take?
Maybe we could trade away that pick or something, man, and accumulate some linemen, man. But we got to get it right, man. That has always been our Achilles heel for the last. I mean, we always had some good run blockers, man. Like when they had Taylor Lewan, that group, Derrick Henry won the rushing titles. They could run block, man, but the pass protection has been horrible, man.
So that being said, I would say, why not address it in free agency, right? Why not retain your guy Kevin Zeitler and go out and sign a veteran center? And now you have continuity, and this is my thing. And Nate, you're on to something because getting that O-line right that's where it starts, right? So here's the deal: you want that continuity, bring back Zeitler. So now you got 4 spots that have played together at least 1 year, and then bring in a veteran center. I think that would be the fix for the O-line to me.
If this GM don't work out, man, I'm putting your name in the hat.
No, don't do that. Don't do that because they're not going to chastise me the way they chastise these GMs, man. I already get enough of it.
Thanks for the call, Nate.
Appreciate it.
I understand exactly what he's saying, that the offensive line has not been good enough for the young quarterbacks throughout the Titans' history. I mean, you go back, Vince Young, Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota, Will Levis. But for the Titans this year, the offensive line, it's moderately set, right? Like you said, you bring back Kevin Zeitler. It seems like they're interested in doing that. You bring in a veteran center. And is anybody you're going to pick at the top going to step in and steal somebody's job? There's no Joe Alt level left tackle in this draft that it's like, hey, that's a 10-year starter at left tackle. There are really good offensive linemen in this draft. But like Maui Noah, he played right tackle at Miami. Some say he might profile more as a guard. Fano, the Utah tackle, I know there's been some questions about his size.
I think Fano's going to be a guard.
Right. So,
and they even, you know what, they had him working at center.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that the thought around the Titans fan base is we need to solidify the offensive line because a lot of people don't like taking offensive linemen. It's not sexy. And I get it. You want playmakers, but this isn't the year to take a lineman early. It's not. You've got a skeleton of what you want. You're hoping Carmen Brasillo can have those guys take another step, J.C. Latham especially on that right side of the line. And I think next year is when you're looking for that franchise left tackle in the draft. I think that is probably when the Titans start doing that, unless somebody falls into your lap in the second round and the third round.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to address offensive line. It's not going to happen at number 4. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We've got one more segment on this Thursday. We will wrap up our conversation on free agency after this. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the show. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, finishing the show with the way we always do, with some dreams and nightmares. Tomorrow on the show, it is NHL trade deadline day. So we will have Max Hers in to talk about any moves the Preds have made, will make, already have traded Michael McCarron, Cole Smith, and Nick Blankenberg. Possible that we could see more moves today or tomorrow. So Max Hers will join us tomorrow on the show to go through all of the big moves around the NHL. But we got one more segment with TD here on this Thursday. And TD, free agency is right around the corner. We are less than 4 days away from the legal tampering period opening up. We've gone through a lot of the Titans' needs, where they could be looking. We haven't talked cornerback yet, and I think that is one of the main positions the Titans will be looking at when the free agency market opens up. You don't have a lot of bodies in that room right now, at least ones that you expect to be back next year. So I would expect the Titans are going to make at least 2 moves in free agency for a cornerback, maybe somebody towards the top of the market and maybe somebody a little bit more of a veteran depth signing.
My bad. The mic was off. It would be beautiful for them to sign Alante Taylor and Greg Newsome. That would be a nice pairing. But I do think they're gonna sign two corners. They almost have to, right? And there's no depth there. It's very likely Snead is released. So you look at Marcus Harris, you look at Michael Robinson, who I think Michael Robinson is a solid 3 or 4.
Right.
You know, he actually showed. I like the Jacksonville game at the end of the year, but you know, you look at that, they almost have to sign 2 and draft at least 1. You know what I mean? They're literally rebuilding, restocking the cabinet in the cornerback position.
What do you think about bringing Darrell Baker back? I know he's a restricted free agent, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't cost much. I saw his Twitter the other day, or was it, his ex the other day. He joined the Ballhead Club, so team shaved head, man. He'll fit in with the coaching staff and with myself and PK. So that's a thing. But no, all jokes aside, he's a guy I would bring in. I mean, he's not a 2, like a number 2 corner,
right? But
I wouldn't start him, but
piece.
he's a depth piece. Yeah, and you could definitely have him on special teams as well.
We've talked about the 3 corners that kind of sit towards the top. And you could put Greg Newsome in there too. Alante Taylor, who you just mentioned. Tariq Woolen from Seattle, coming off the Super Bowl win. And then Jalen Watson from Kansas City. I think the development yesterday with Trent McDuffie being traded probably means Watson is going back to Kansas City.
Yeah.
So maybe takes that option off the table, but still some really good options towards the top of the market for the Titans at corner.
Yeah, no, there's some good options. And I mean, I don't think they have to go all the way uptown. You know what I mean? They don't have to shop at Green Hills.
Right.
You know, they could get some solid options there in the Opry Mills section. You know what I mean? Going there and getting, like I said, Alante Taylor, Greg Newsome, those types, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where the Titans end up going. Staying in the secondary, Xavier Woods being released, that's kind of fallen into the background a little bit with the Lloyd Cushenberry news and then the Devondre Sweat trade. What do you think the Titans do at safety? I know you've got Amani Hooker, just extended him before last season. You've got Kevin Winston, who you're hoping is going to be healthy in his second season in the league. But would you say you probably need to add at least one more veteran piece back there?
I don't think it would hurt, just given the injury history of Amani Hooker. He hasn't played a full season. Kevin Winston, you know, he had a couple of dings. I don't think that makes him injury prone, but he had a couple of dings. So Mike Brown is a guy that has played some. Long story short, I could see them bringing in a veteran, or, you know, you could draft a guy. I mean, there are going to be options for you. And this is a very good safety class. So that is something that you could do as well.
Yeah, we did see during the combine, it did feel like there was going to be a lot of safeties that you could get in the mid to late rounds of the draft. So maybe that's the way the Titans address the back end of that room. Titans going to have a lot of cap space as they roll into free agency next week. They're going to have options at their disposal. TD, before we wrap up, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Removing John Franklin Myers, because I feel like that's the most likely one. Everybody can kind of point to that. Removing John Franklin Myers, who's a guy that you feel somewhat confident will be a Titan at some point next week?
I mean, look, Wandale Robinson, I think is a guy I feel confident that will be a Titan. I would say him.
Yeah, and those are the two that it seems like every report around the Titans free agency includes those two names, John Franklin Myers and Wan'Dale Robinson. And you can make the easy connections there. Robinson, I don't think it would be a bad signing. I'm really interested to know what the price tag is going to be on Wan'Dale Robinson,
And
because
you know what? Let's get away from the obvious. I'll not take Taylor. I would say Taylor.
And if the Titans start off, if let's say by Tuesday, you've heard reports that the Titans are signing Wan'Dale Robinson, John Franklin Myers, and Alontae Taylor, I think that's a really good start to free agency. You're gonna add more pieces, probably a center, maybe add another piece on the edge, probably another corner. There are going to be other pieces, but if those are the three first moves you make, I think Titans fans can get behind using that cap space to go get guys who are proven starters for your team.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? You want to start to shore up the roster, you know what I mean, on the front end of it, and getting starters and guys that you know will come in and contribute right away, because that's the key thing to the turnaround. You know what I mean? And you look at the changeover. Look at how much changeover New England had last year that led to them being such a successful, bounce back story. 30+ players. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Salah's going to come in here and do that, but I mean, the roster, like the Patriots one, was barren, and it's much in need of an influx of talent, of playmakers. And to me, that's why getting the top playmaker in the draft makes sense.
And I could see it. I could see it being Jeremiah Love. That's going to be the conversation for the next 6 weeks. I mean, unless the Titans are just pump faking all of us and they end up like signing Kenneth Walker or something, I think at that point you might say, well, if you're going to pay $10 million a year to Kenneth Walker, are you really going to go out and spend the 4th overall pick on a running back too? But the Titans have a lot of options. They got a lot of resources. And you're right. Maybe not a turnaround like the Patriots had to go to the Super Bowl, but you can see that if they use these resources correctly, there is an example, not just this year, but the past year too with Washington, that one good offseason is all it takes to get you back into being a contender.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. One good season, off season. I mean, you could turn things around if you do it properly. And here's the thing: this team, this organization, they're chock full of assets in both the draft and the daggone free agency. So they're in really good shape.
Yep, Titans going to have the most cap space in the league. Could even end up having more before the new league year officially starts on Wednesday if they make some moves. So Titans going to be busy in free agency. We will have you covered all offseason long right here on 102.5 The Game, and excited to have TD on next Thursday and hopefully have some moves to discuss about what the Titans have done as we'll be officially into the new league year at that point. I'm sure we will have plenty of news to catch up on. So excited for that, TD. We'll do it in person next week. Appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, man. Wednesday, March 11th, 8 p.m., Chicago's home of chicken and waffles. Be there or be square.
We will have to talk about that as well because you'll be on the next day. So excited for that. Titans free agency starts on Monday. Tomorrow is the NHL trade deadline. We will have Max Herz on to talk about all of the moves the Preds have and could make over the next 24 hours. That'll do it for us. Jason Big Joe are coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.